Tonight, a Mid-North woman charged with animal cruelty offences, and the award that's made Port Lincoln the place to be for those wanting to tie the knot.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. A woman from the Mid-North has been charged with several animal cruelty offences. It follows a raid at a property earlier this year where more than 20 animals were seized.
The investigation began after the RSPCA looked into claims a woman was neglecting animals at her Buggy Road property at Baruta, around 30 minutes north of Port Pirie. In May this year, local patrols and the RSPCA attended to the property and seized 27 dogs, one in such a poor condition officers had no choice but to put it down. The woman was immediately arrested and taken to the local police station, but was later released without charge. However, last Friday, RSPCA South Australia laid 29 criminal charges against her for alleged violations of the Animal Welfare Act. In a statement to Southern Cross News, RSPCA South Australia says the charges relate to the ill treatment of 4 German Shepherd dogs, 23 Pomeranian dogs and 23 chickens. It's also alleged that the woman hindered RSPCA inspectors when they were examining the property.
The woman is set to face the Port Pirie Magistrates Court for the first time later this month. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
The CFMEU says over 50 jobs will go from mining contractor BGC and its operations in the southern Middleback Ranges near Wyler. Local officials say the change is a blow to the community after weeks of positivity for the town.
It's been a good couple of weeks for the city of Wyler as the sale of the Wyler Steelworks breathed life back into the community. That joy seems to have been short-lived though, with contractor BGC now considering a reduction in its workforce.
By the end of the month they want to have 50 to 55 current workers made redundant.
BGC provides mining services such as drilling, blasting and crusher feed for Simex Southern Middleback mines. It signed a 5-year contract extension worth over $700 million earlier this year. Mr Warner says they'll push for FIFO workers to be axed before local employees.
We hope that the non-locals will be the ones that would go first, and that way at least some of the community can be still kept in employment.
It's a bitter blow for an area that's seen too many job cuts in the last 3 years, but the union is remaining positive, saying there are other opportunities on the horizon.
Hopefully, in the end, the ones that do become redundant, we can find them work with the other opportunities coming up in the area.
Mr Warner says he's confident the community will overcome this latest hurdle, saying the town is resilient to cope. Mine owner Simex declined to comment, while BGC did not return our calls before deadline. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Port Lincoln Council is launching a strategy to increase the region's population after recent numbers highlighted its flatlining. The local mayor says it's now a priority after a string of poor growth figures.
Port Lincoln is a vibrant coastal community with successful industries and iconic tourism drawcards. But for the last 5 years, the region's population has hit a wall. In that time, Port Lincoln has grown by just 34 people, sending alarm bells ringing with the local council.
We're losing ground and we really do need to pay a lot of attention to that and do what we can to encourage people, firstly come to South Australia, and then to come to the region.
The council says the key lies in stimulating jobs in the region. The mayor says making the region a more attractive option for businesses will be crucial in turning the tide.
We need to support the business communities and not just the new big new ones, but also the existing smaller ones.
Regional Development Australia has worked closely with Wyler to develop their economic potential. The mayor says it's now time to sit down with the RDA and work out a long-term strategy here.
Their new guidelines or their new rules of engagement are very much along the lines of economic development. So we'll be working hand in hand with them.
Another part of the strategy will include tourism. The Eyre Peninsula injects $290 million annually into the state's economy. Converting those tourists into residents will be vital.
Getting tourists to come here once and then decide to come here to live, having cruise ships. We've got 10 coming this year, having those visitors come and then talk to their friends about a great experience that they had in Port Lincoln.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Mayors in the Upper Spencer Gulf say they've received no support from the government as a result of industry downturn. They're drafting their own industry transition plan in a bid to boost the population across the wider region.
With Adelaide's Holden plant closure announcement came a loss of nearly 1,000 jobs. It also came with a transition plan from the state government. Yet the Spencer Gulf cities argue there's been no such plan for the region's industry downturn, so they're penning their own.
And you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a starting point. It's no good running around the countryside saying, come and help, we need something. And then when they say, what do you want? You need to be able to answer that question.
Transforming the Upper Spencer Gulf is a 28-page draft plan the cities are working on together to give the region clear direction on where it'll find its growth.
It does exactly that. It goes to governments, it goes to also private enterprise, not just governments, and says, this is where we believe there are real opportunities, whether it be defence or in the energy sector or arid innovation or skilled manufacturing. We know that there are opportunities here, and we know this because here is the research we've done, here is the statistics, the facts that sit behind it, and we believe we can work with you to actually make this work.
According to 2016 census data, other states have over 30% of their population living in regional areas, while SA has just 17%. At a recent meeting with other regional leaders, the Upper Spencer Gulf mayors say they have a plan to increase regional population numbers.
We know what's good for us, and we're going to continue to drive it, and the three cities will stand strongly at any government, all sides of politics, and say, this is our plan, you're either with us or you're against us.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Still to come in tonight's local news, tasting success, why Port Perry's tap water is the tastiest. That's next. A Supreme Court trial has started in Port Augusta after a Port Lincoln man was charged with assault over an incident at a hotel car park, which left another man in a serious condition. Amelia Simpson has more.
Court heard that at 3 a.m. on the 24th of July, 40-year-old Wayne Betts allegedly threw a punch to the victim, knocking him to the ground before kicking him in the head in the car park of a Port Lincoln hotel. He's facing a raft of charges, including 2 counts of assault causing harm. The victim, understood to be a father of 2, was taken to the Port Lincoln Hospital in a serious condition before he was later taken to the Royal Adelaide Hospital in a critical condition. Police arrested Betts at the scene and took him into custody. He was released on bail a few days later. Today, several witnesses gave evidence on the event, including an acquaintance who was with him on the night and a former bartender at the hotel. The bartender told the jury that she was moving tables outdoors when Betts allegedly threw the first punch. The bartender told the court she knew of Betts as a regular patron of the hotel and recalled distinctly hearing the sound of the punch, but the rest of the event was to her a blur. Today is the first day of Betts' Supreme Court trial here in Port Augusta, where it's expected to go for another 8 days.
A Wyler man will face court on drink driving charges after allegedly blowing 4 times over the legal limit. Just after 6:30 p.m. last night, police stopped a Toyota 4-wheel drive in Herbert Street, where the driver allegedly recorded a reading of .207. The 52-year-old has had his car impounded and lost his licence for a year. Wyler Council is holding a discounted microchipping drive in a bid to get more of our furry friends on the register. Authorities say this simple technique will ensure pets who run away from home are reunited with their owners.
Man's best friend can sometimes become a worst enemy when they decide to escape from home. This is where microchips come in handy, to ensure each animal can find its way home.
It's with the animal for life, and if there's any issues where a dog goes missing or feared stolen, it's a definite identification that it is the person's dog, and we can try and get them home.
From next year, it'll be compulsory for all pets to be microchipped. Council will be making this process a little easier by holding a $10 session at the Wyler Dog Park later this month.
No bookings needed. You can just bring your animal down. First in, best dressed. When we run out of microchips, we're done. There will be a local vet down to help do it.
All creatures, great and small, are welcome.
Any animals that are adopted locally will already be microchipped. So I think it's a good thing, and I think everyone is going getting on board and seeing the importance of it.
It'll be held on the 28th between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Port Pirie's tap water has been voted as having the best taste in the state. 4,000 people put their taste buds to the test, and experts say the long filtration process that the water in Port Pirie undergoes could be why it's so tasty.
Pleasing our taste buds the most. In a blind tap water taste test, 60% of people voted water from the local taps in Port Pirie the tastiest.
Port Pirie tap water has recently been voted the best tasting tap water in South Australia. It actually comes from the River Murray. We treat it at the Morgan Water Filtration Plant.
It's believed the journey is what makes the water so tasty, travelling over 200 kilometres to get here.
It's such a long pipeline, it's got a long way to go in the heat. We can't use chlorine to make the water safe, so we use something called monochloramine, which people can't taste.
Another favourite of the 5 samples was the local water treated at Moonta Bay. Only 26% of those could correctly guess which sample was bottled water, often confusing it with a drop from Port Pirie.
Moonta Bay, it's the same water that our customers get in Kadina, Wallaroo, Pascadell. It's a local water, and it's very, very similar to the Port Pirie water.
Port Lincoln's tap water didn't fare so well. It was voted one of the worst tasting. H2O in the lower EP comes from the ground. It's still very pure, but it has a higher mineral content.
Some people can taste the salt in it, and we also use chlorine to ensure that it's safe to drink. And a lot of our customers can taste the chlorine as well.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
When we return after the break, one Port Lincoln hotel receives an award highlighting its success as a wedding venue. Details next. A charity golf day will be held this weekend in Broken Hill to raise money for junior sport. It's for all players, regardless of age and skill set, and organisers are encouraging as many people as possible to take part, all for a good cause.
Get a team together and tee off. That's the recipe for a bit of fun while helping charity this weekend.
It's our annual fundraiser that raises money for junior sport in the Broken Hill region.
The Outback Emus have been supporting all types of junior sports since the club was established back in the 90s. Its charity golf day has always been a big hit with locals, with many coming out and trying their hand at the challenging sport.
Turn up, organise your team, ring the golf club. We aim to have 120 players.
The 4-person Ambrose event kicks off Sunday morning. The unique playing style means each member of a team gets a shot, and whoever makes it the closest is where everyone continues to play from. Organisers say it opens the day up to players of all sorts of skill levels, including those who just get a bit lucky.
Players, non-players, anybody who wants to come out and have a fun day don't have to have a handicap. You don't have to play golf.
The day gets started at 10 o'clock with a shotgun start, and there'll be a bit of breakfast available before tee-off. Teams are encouraged to book in now and are being urged to make sure they have plenty of balls in their bag in case you hook one into the trees.
The response has been great from each time that we've had the day.
The money raised throughout the day will be put back into the local sporting community. Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
Well, Port Lincoln has developed a reputation for many reasons, but now it's becoming a wedding hotspot with an increasing number of couples choosing the popular seaside town to get hitched. The Port Lincoln Hotel has catered for couples across Australia and is now being recognised for its top-notch service.
It's that one special day where everything needs to be perfect, from the dress to the cake to the all-important reception.
The wedding season has truly begun. People from Adelaide, people from Melbourne come over. We've even had some come down from the Northern Territory.
The regional town is proving to be a popular wedding destination. Venues like the Port Lincoln Hotel has bookings through till 2019.
Every wedding is completely different, so we can host tiny weddings of 20 people, intimate settings, to large weddings weddings of plus 300.
It's not hard to see why brides and grooms are choosing the seafood capital over other coastal locations. The Lincoln Hotel has been recognised by the Australian bridal industry, winning Best Reception Venue in the state.
It's such an achievement. It's very humbling to receive it.
Wedding coordinator Karina Cowley says it's not just the great location couples enjoy, but the peace of mind and fine details that makes for a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
When a bride first comes in, they'll go up to their bridal suite. It's the little things of just having a little box of chocolates with a note, even making sure they've got their favourite wine on the day.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Change of pace now. Time for this week's View Watch. A look at how things are shaping up when we head to the Bowser. Here's Patrick.
It hasn't been a good week for most of our city centres. The prices are on the way back up. Let's take a look at unleaded. Port Lincoln and Wyler are still heading north and are now on $1.26 a litre. Port Augusta is the only one to not see any movement. The price is still $1.24, the same as Port Pirie. Kadina is by far the most expensive in the Spencer Gulf. Another cent increase puts the price at $1.29. Broken Hill has also seen a 1 cent spike and is now on $1.26. Good news for Adelaide, a 15-cent decline now has the price at a very savvy $1.16 a litre. And looking at diesel now, and Port Lincoln, Wyler and Port Augusta are all staying put. A different story in Port Pirie though. The price is up by a cent and now sitting on $1.26. Kadina is also on $1.26 as well, after a jump of 2 cents over the week. Broken Hill is hovering around $1.32 a litre, and Adelaide rounds out the board on $1.23. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages, and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you happen to find a spot that does sell unleaded or diesel for cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Stay with us. After the break, a check of the local weather with Nicole.
As you can see, plenty of clear skies about, but not for long. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back to the weather now. A bit of a mixed day across the region with some showers about. A fine day in Port Augusta for a top of 34 degrees. Trailing behind slightly in Broken Hill for 30. A bit of a change in Wyler and Port Lincoln with showers. And a similar day in Adelaide for a top of 28. To the satellite now, a bit of cloud across South Australia is bringing a few showers. Otherwise, skies are looking clear elsewhere under a high pressure ridge. On the Gulf waters, southerly winds tomorrow up to 25 knots. Seas up to 1.5 metres with sunrise just before 7 a.m, sunset at 24 past 7. Looking like wet weather will be continuing tomorrow. Showers on the way for Port Augusta and Wyler reaching 20 degrees. Plenty of cloud about in Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay. Finding up in Broken Hill though for a top of 26. And looking ahead, a few sunny days on the way in Port Lincoln before showers set in Sunday. Similar conditions on the way for Cleve and Woodena. Still pretty warm though, with temperatures around the 30-degree mark over the weekend. And for a sunny finish to the working week in Wyler, reaching 28 on Saturday before showers appear. A wet weekend in Port Augusta and similar in Kadina, reaching 26 on Sunday. In Port Pirie, temperatures are continuing to climb despite the wet weather, reaching 31 Sunday with showers. Similar in Clare for 26 and still warm in Broken Hill for 32 by the end of the weekend. So Fraser, looking like there's a bit of wet weather on the way, but it'll still be warm over the weekend.
Good news. Thanks, Nicole. See you tomorrow. And that's all from us for now. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.